What's up guys, today I'm going to show you how to clean the AKM style rifle. Stay tuned. So this is my Chinese variant of the AKM. It is the NHM 91 and I'm going to show you how to properly clean and maintain it. So always make sure your rifle is unloaded. Check. Some people like to cycle it 3 times. On the range, that's what I do. I already know it's unloaded right now. And the first thing you want to do, take off the dust cover. Pretty simple. You're going to want to take out your spring. And while I'm taking it apart, I like to inspect my pieces, make sure everything's looking good. And you take out your bolt carrier group here, kind of check everything, make sure everything's looking all right. And I mean, you could tell that's a little dirty there. So you have 2 main moving parts. There they are. And pretty much that's a field strip of an AK rifle. Now onto the steps. First thing I like to do is just look inside the rifle, make sure everything's good. Now, I use just shotgun cleaner. Real easy. This is like a solvent and kind of just cleans everything, breaks down some of the gunk and buildup here. So I like to just give everything a little bit of a spray there. Just kind of let it sit and soak in, break down some of this tarnish and whatnot. So I always spray this on and give it a minute. It kind of breaks down all the carbon buildup, because I shoot the cheap ammo. There's a lot of carbon buildup. As you can tell, a lot of the carbon just starts kind of falling off the gun here. So I like to use a little brush. So most AKs come with this little field cleaning kit. Kind of has everything in it. I really don't use it, because I bought other cleaning kits that I use for other guns. So, you know, this brush is a good little tool. You could get in here on your rails. That's where your bolt carrier slides around. So you want to make sure that that's pretty much clean and good to go here. I always wipe off my hammer here. I just kind of scrub around. The gas tube here, you really don't have to clean. A lot of the blowback will come out of these ports up here. So most of the gunk and grit will just come out up here. There are 2 little holes up front here on your gas block that, I mean, you can make sure that are clean, but for the most part, never had an issue. Now that I have that clean, you want to take and rub off a lot of this solvent. Make sure everything's clean and good to go. You know, I always press the trigger. I always catch it just in case, you know, you don't want it hitting hard. You want to depress that, because you won't get your bolt back in if it's up. Just kind of clean everything, get all the grit going. Now some of your feeding problems come because you don't clean out the magazine well. Dirt could get in there and your magazine won't seat all the way, so I always make sure that's clean. After that, I take my CLP. You don't need a lot of that stuff. And I think it smells good. Makes it smell like a new car type of thing. Take it, rub it down. Now at this point, I look down the barrel. It's kind of hard to do. You always want to look down it, make sure there's no obstructions, no carbon buildup, and most of the time I don't run anything down the barrel. You know, if anything, I'll rub one of these, if anything, I'll rub a little pad down it, just in case. But for the most part, I don't clean out the barrels on my AK rifles. Just doesn't seem like something you need to do. Haven't had too many issues. Now, am I trying to shoot 600 yards in a dime? No. So people that do that, they might want to clean that. And then with the oil and everything, I get the wood, just so it helps it from cracking. So next, I'll give these another quick little spray here. Just get it washed off here. Take your brush. You kind of want to get in all these little grooves. That's where all the moving parts work. So I know some people, they do not clean their AKs. I clean it at least once a year. I usually clean it multiple times a year. So I use my AKs in the winter. They're a winter gun. They're made in Russia. So that's just when I like to use them, type of thing. So in the spring, I usually get them nice and clean for storage, and they sit all summer. Now I'm in Colorado, it's drier, so I don't have to be too concerned. I give it a nice rubbing with oil. I use this oil when I store it, just gives it a nice coat, and hopefully there's no rust issues. But yeah, as my winter guns, I mean, it's fall here, leaves are changing, and want to make sure it's ready to hit the range. They just banned Russian ammo, so I might be putting nicer ammo through it. Now with this guy, this face here, that's where the bullet seats, and this is your firing pin. You want to make sure all of that can move. You want to make sure that the bullet can sit flush and flat on there. So always make sure this guy is cleaner than the rest of the rifle. And then I don't know if you could see the firing pin moving there, maybe not. But yeah, you always want to just make sure all the parts work. And then I just scrub it down with this little toothbrush guy. After that, I want to wipe off all the solvent. Now this solvent will dry and disappear, and it doesn't leave a residue. But your metal is basically stripped at that point. So you definitely want to hit it with either this or just normal oil. So yeah, that kind of shined back up. You can see how much shinier this guy is. And then I always clean this. I always find dirt and stuff gets in this part. So I always make sure this is clean. The back where this sits, I always make sure that is clean as well. I don't know, just dirt and grime gets in there and you don't want it wearing. So after that, I give this a nice little spray. You really don't need a lot. I use the same rag that I was just using. Pretty much just move around all that oil. Yeah, this thing is nice and slickery now. And then in the back here, I give a quick little spray. Kind of rub this in and out. Make sure, I mean, that's how the AK works, so you want to make sure that part's nice and lubed and doesn't wear out. And yeah. You can never have too much lube, but first few rounds might be a fireball if you do too much. Now to seat this back in, it's easiest to just take it, stick part A into part B, spin it until it kind of locks, and it's a rotating bolt. So it rotates. Make sure that everything runs nice. And when you're looking at everything, look in this channel, make sure there's no obstructions. That's where that piece of metal rides in there and spins. Yeah, that's pretty much how you clean an AK. Now we're gonna assemble our AK. You take your rod and you have this in the forward position. It moves. Have it in the forward position. The trigger needs to be depressed. Stick it in the hole. Now there's some grooves back here. So what you want to do, you want to have it level and you push it down. slide it in. Take your spring, stick that guy back in. Dust cover, I always kind of just wipe it out real quick just because dirt can get in it. Take your dust cover, snap that back in, and then all the excess oil I kind of just wipe around the entirety of the gun. Just kind of helps everything. You want to make sure everything cycles. And yeah, that's how you clean an AK.